This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Good morning, video games. Welcome once again to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you for joining us. You've got myself, Tommy Dasilo. You've also got...
Ben Vanel, episode 117. And I am Bruce Springsteen, and welcome to the show, our good friend, compadre, and co-host.
I'm so excited for episode 120.
One of our listeners sent me suggestions.
Oh, really?
For 120, 21, and 22. So,
Oh, really? They got bored quickly of doing that.
I know. Oh, they got excited. They're like, "Oh, this is a great bit. I'm into it."
Or when did you start? Oh no, because it's not even like. Did you start doing it for like 103 or something? And they just figured, well, he's got 3 on. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they...
Yeah, I think... No, didn't I start in the teens?
I don't care.
No, you did from 110. My name is Ben.
Ah, you're right.
109,
You're
I'm
right.
feeling fine. 108, I'm feeling great.
That's right.
107, I'm in video games heaven. I can't believe I remember this.
I can't believe that I have been doing it for that long.
It's like
might have
you're
been-
shocked at me
Yeah.
bringing this out. I'm
Yeah.
also shocked as it's
Yeah.
coming out.
I'm an
eyes have-
institution.
Rolled into the back of your head, Tommy.
Wow, okay, it's been going on for a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, this is an intervention. You have a problem.
But I just set up 120, 120, 122. Yeah, so
You've got to
It's-
do at least until 123 now if someone sent them in. If
Yeah.
someone sends in until 1,000, it just has to happen every
Fuck.
week
See,
until
this is
then.
the prison
Yeah.
that you've made for yourself. You just have to keep doing it forever now.
hey, so this is 117. When people listen to this, I won't have thought of 118. Send in your suggestions. Well, I'll do the best one.
Right, I thought you were talking about like way in the future.
Oh, no.
I was like, how are you going to read an email that you get in 3 months? But,
No, yeah.
way in the future, 3 months.
DM me so the boys don't know what they are. I'll keep them a secret.
I like to be surprised.
And I'll read out your episode rhymes.
I reckon
Fantastic.
you're going to be able to guess a lot of them.
Yeah. So any rhyming dictionary enthusiasts out there?
Yes.
Episode 120, rhymes, I've got plenty.
I got. Did you ever have the thing at your school where you'd have the?
Well, he's going to have to change 120.
the book club thing where you would like get the list of books and like send
Yeah.
away for them.
Scholastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a rhyming dictionary once out of them, and oh
Hell
boy,
yeah.
was I the coolest. I don't know why it was on there. Everyone else is like, cool, a novel to read and learn some
Yeah,
stuff.
goosebumps.
Yeah, we'd have like 15 minutes of reading at school, and I just would sit and think of words and go, I wonder what rhymes with that.
Wow. You were destined to be a parody song comedian.
Yeah, that's what I was gunning for. So we've got a fair bit to talk about today. It's happened again. We put an episode up last week.
Yeah.
And then there was a late-breaking Nintendo Direct, a couple of hours after we put the episode up.
Something like that, yeah, like 3 or 4 hours later.
Yeah.
They love toying with us, don't they?
This happens so often that you'd almost think Nintendo always puts them up on Thursdays.
Yeah, along with many video game releases and other big news.
I guarantee you, though, the minute we change the day that we put this up, they'll change the day that they do it.
Well, a lot of the time video games come out on a Friday
Yeah.
here in Australia.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if that's the same in the rest of the world. I think it is.
I think it is. I think in movies as well, it's usually like Wednesdays or Thursdays.
It used to be Thursdays for
Yeah.
everything, and I feel like it's shifted to Fridays a bit.
Yeah.
So Thursday is the perfect time to release this because it means we have the most time from the Friday to dissect the news of the week
Yeah,
and give our
to play-
blistering takes on it.
What's your favourite day of the week?
Birthday.
You have a birthday every week?
We know from the dossier that he doesn't like Mondays because people called him Garfield for a while.
On that great detail.
Yeah.
They've all got ups and downs, you know?
Some, I would say some definitely have more downs than ups, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to go past a good Saturday, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, Saturday's great. When you don't have any plans and you can just stretch out and go, oh, what am I going to do today?
You don't have any plans, so you can stretch.
Baby, I love to stretch.
No fucking family appointments getting in the way of just getting the old quads out.
Yeah.
I've got to go to work in 3 hours and I'm so sore, but I can't stretch.
I am not limber at all. This is fucked.
Yeah. I mean, TGIF.
So Nintendo did this tease out of this direct happened in kind of a funny way because they typically, with about 2 days' notice, they will go, this is, the time that it's coming out at. There had been all these like leaks and rumors that it was going to be January 11th. It gets closer and closer to January 11th and no announcement of anything. And then the Nintendo of America account just starts tweeting all these like weird pictures. Like they tweeted a picture of the chibi Robo character on fire.
Yeah.
They're doing all this weird stuff like deliberately. I mean, you could argue that nearly every business decision they make is trolling their fans. But
Yes.
People got quite wound up about this.
Yeah, by the mind games they were playing.
Yeah. I kind of loved it. It was someone in there's decided to have a bit of fun.
Yes.
And then the direct just came out of nowhere at about, I think it was about 2 a.m. Melbourne time. I was telling you guys before I couldn't sleep. Checked the old phone.
Yeah.
And there it was.
It's such a shame you told us that story off mic because it was so interesting.
I would have loved to get your reactions, just your genuine reaction. When I told you guys before we started recording, you were screaming. You were literally screaming.
I was slapping myself in the face and jumping up and down.
Is this a dream?
You wouldn't know what they are, Tommy, because you couldn't sleep, which is blowing my mind.
But I mean, I know it happens every time, but I still did wake up, see it, and go, oh, we're fucking idiots. Like, every time we miss it by a few hours, and we're getting all the tweets like, oh, well done, you morons.
Like it's somehow our fault.
Yeah.
But, and also, not only that, last week's episode, if I remember correctly, we were definitely treading water for massive stretches of
we
that.
were starved for
any
content.
New releases or news to talk about.
Yeah.
Unlike this week where we have news, but for a while we've talked about whether or not you slept during it.
Hey, we talked about Saturday for a bit. That was good.
Yeah, we did
true.
too. Nobody brought up Tuesday.
We're stretching
though.
out now. We're stretching.
We're impossible to please, aren't we?
Yes.
It's either,
So I got a list here of all the stuff they announced.
Hell yeah.
In order.
So it was a direct mini. That was the way they kind of build it.
Yeah.
And
it's like 14 minutes or something.
Yeah, and for the way that they kind of put it up without much fanfare, you would sort of think, the way it went up, I went, there's going to be nothing in this. Like, they're really underselling it.
Yep.
But I think there's some really good stuff in here.
I think it's an interesting one
Yeah.
for sure.
Depends where you're coming at it from, because like I could see there's a bunch of people who for this it means nothing to them because they played all these games.
Yes.
A lot of remakes, a lot of remasters.
I even
stuff.
think that in itself is interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was okay. So let's just start from the beginning. The World Ends With You final remix is the first thing.
Yeah.
So this is a JRPG that apparently is really good.
Yeah.
A lot of
On the
people like it.
3DS game.
Just
Right.
regular DS.
Regular DS,
Oh.
right. So it's pretty old.
Yeah.
And you look at it just looking at the footage of it, it's like, I mean, it's stylized in a way where it's not massively showing its age, but it's a very simplistic looking game for what is a console.
There's something very 2000s about the vision of the future
Yes.
fashion that they're wearing
Yes.
as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
They're all a little bit emo, a little bit, but so it's meant to be fun.
People really, really talk highly about that game,
Yeah.
so I think that's cool that that's coming out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I will say I've never heard of it. Like, I'm pretty tapped into video games, and I've never heard of it.
Oh, really?
It wasn't until this announcement that anyone
Right.
started going, oh, yeah, this is good.
I heard a lot about it at the time when it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember never getting around to playing it, which isn't
Right.
really a memory so much as a just
Absence of.
nothing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
suddenly that not being able to sleep story is looking pretty good.
What's the opposite of a memory?
I mean, think of it like a jigsaw puzzle with a piece missing.
Okay.
Now,
Is it a lie? Is a lie the opposite of a memory? Like if
but
I were to
a
go, I remember playing this game.
But a lie is a fake memory. I
Yeah,
guess.
so the opposite.
But that's not really the opposite, is it?
Well, it is, because the opposite of something is always the same as it. Like
But it's
hot
not
is
like
the
the
opposite
opposite-
of cold.
But it's not like a... Do
you know what I
it's
mean?
not
Like
like
they're
the
both-
opposite of a chair is a
Yeah.
drawing of a chair.
No, but the opposite of a chair would be like a bed.
okay, the opposite of a memory is an iromem.
What?
And I've done that backwards.
Okay, well done. I'm going to strike that memory from my brain.
Anyway, no release date on that, just a vague sometime this year,
This
I
year.
think? Yeah.
This year. And it
Right.
was very heavy on the touchscreen on the DS.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be interesting to see price point wise, you know, what that costs when it comes out, because
Yeah.
it is an old DS game. And
Now-
same can be said for a few of these.
The
Yes.
Switch does have a touchscreen, right?
Yeah.
So and you can use
You-
that if you want, but only in portable, obviously.
Yeah, right,
So
yeah.
it seems like the Joy-Cons, it says here, might act as a stylus for your TV, so like a Wii remote.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds kind of annoying.
I think that's cool that you can, in
Yeah.
handheld mode, they've brought the touch controls across. I think
Totally.
it's cool. I'd like to see more stuff kind of have that as an option
Yeah.
for when it's in handheld.
Yeah.
It's obviously tricky because they can't rely on it too much because a lot of people aren't going to play it that way. But
Yeah.
There's no stylus for that, and that thing's so fucking expensive as well that I feel weird touching it with my grubby little fingers.
Well, clean your fingers, mate.
No, I keep them grubby.
Covered in dirt and maple syrup.
What if a cat wants to come up and have a lick at them? You got to keep them grubby for a cat.
No, I agree. I wouldn't let you touch anything that I own that's over about $50 value.
That's still quite a lot of money.
Still a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I own that's under $50 that I'd be okay with you touching.
The tips of your forks, just go through your drawer.
Well, I've let you use my kettle when you're at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Kettle I'm fine with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
It's under
so you
50.
should be.
Trying to work out what's the...
Where's the line?
Yeah,
What's
where's the line of
Yeah.
things I won't let out of the
Yeah.
Would you be freaked out if I touched your pillow? If I just walked up and gave it a squeeze?
Yeah, but that's not just a you thing. That's just everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. What about what's your guys' philosophy on lending out games? Because have you ever got one back that's scratched to high heaven? Because I have, and DVDs. I used to get that all the time.
Yeah, I think I've told this before. I've got a friend who was the worst at it. Like, you'd go to his house, you'd have a DVD that you had lent him would be just on the floor.
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
like, mate,
yeah.
you knew I was coming around. At least pretend for my sake that you're treating my copies of things with a bit of respect.
Yeah. I'm worried that I said this last time, but the answer to this problem is to just have no friends.
No, you may have. You may have said that last
I feel
time.
like you say that a lot. I will say, after we did the Mario Kart tournament in Sydney and
Yes.
people were using our Joy-Cons and Switches
Yep.
and Pro Controllers and stuff, I did get home and I was like, this is... Just no judgment about the people that were there, but
Yeah.
that many people touching something you own, it's like, I'm going to get sick.
Yeah, it definitely made them taste worse. Pokken Tournament DX has an update coming.
Cool.
I think it's 2 new characters
Bunch of
for
new
it.
characters and stuff, yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty surprising to see that they're bringing new stuff out for that, given that it's a remake of a thing from Wii U.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which already had new stuff in it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the
I thought
new
that was-
stuff was from the
old
originally
DLC
going to
or
be.
something?
It never became DLC for the Wii U one because they were like, we'll keep this in our back pocket.
Right.
Right.
It's very sneaky.
Kirby Star Allies.
Is
So-
out pretty soon, mid-March, I think. March 18 or something
And
like
this
that.
is just
Yeah.
the Kirby game they announced.
Yeah, at E3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16th of March.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And it's just some Kirby shit. You're walking around eating
Some
people.
Kirby ass shit.
I'm into this. I like platformers. I like Kirby. It's been a while since I've played one. I think it'll be interesting to see how... And there's another game in this list that I think falls into this category, but it'll be interesting to see how deep this game is, because I think Kirby's a franchise that they tend to be pretty guilty of just kind of throwing out there a bit half-assed. So
Right.
if they're putting a lot into this, I think that'll be a good sign of their new approach for them with this sort of stuff.
And so it's heavy on co-op.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of the big
4-player. And the ones on the 3DS people seem to really like.
The
I haven't
last one,
played.
Planet Robot or whatever it was called, that
Yeah.
reviewed really well. People really like that. But yeah, I hope if it's going to be like a console game and be full price, I just hope that it's same with Yoshi. They tend to just make these platformers that are fun and cute, but only go for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
So I hope
right.
that there's a good amount of. I hope that there's a lot in this.
Has Kirby ever been heavy on story? I don't think I've ever played a Kirby game
No,
properly.
I don't think so.
It's
Not
just
really.
a series of levels.
Very dumb story of just like an overall thing that's going on, and then
Yeah.
just progressing through these little funky little worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Not as good as, or maybe as good as, depending on your taste, or maybe better than
Okay.
Dragon Quest Builders demo.
Yeah.
Oh.
They announced that demo was and it's available now.
Yeah, right.
And so
So-
this is a game that was out in 2015, I
Right.
think, for the PS4 and everything, maybe 2016.
I think it's 16, but I did play the demo through to the end.
Right.
Should I talk about it now, or should I talk about it after we do this?
Wait until next episode.
Okay.
No, talk about it now.
Okay, I really like it.
Well, yeah, you've played it as well, right, Nox?
I played some of the demo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed cool, but I never bothered to play the full thing.
It's
Okay.
it's totally like I just was like, oh well, it's there, it's free. I'll just give it a quick go, and found myself hooked right into it.
Yeah,
finished
yeah.
the whole demo in one sitting, and you do get to do a fair bit in the demo. It's very Minecrafty. It's basically the story is it's set in the Dragon Quest world, and you're like everyone in the world has forgotten how to build things, and you're the one person that can
Bit
build
like
stuff.
the people working on the bloody Eastern Freeway, I reckon.
This sounds like that Ricky Gervais movie
Bloody Hoddle Street.
where no one knows how to lie except him.
yeah.
He
Yeah, Derek.
I think it's called Ricky Gervais Starts to Lie. I think that's the name of the movie.
Right. But
Yeah.
he's not playing himself in it. That's what's so weird about it.
Yeah,
that his
yeah.
name is in the title of the film.
Yeah, it's very misleading. It's a lie in itself.
It's really cool. So you start making things, and all the characters are like, "Whoa, what the fuck are you doing?" Like people are amazed that you have the ability to create things.
Right.
So it's basically, it's got that kind of Stardew Valley, Minecrafty sort of thing of foraging and getting materials, and then crafting a door for your house or
Ooh,
whatever.
yeah.
So it's that, but it's, the stuff I don't like about those games is they're so directionless. It's that, but you've got actual progression, and you've got a little thread to follow. So characters will go, oh, hey, now we need to make this for this. So you're kind of constantly progressing, and it's I love it because I don't mind all that stuff in those other games, but I just find them hard to connect with because there's no direction, there's no kind of momentum. So yeah, I really loved it.
That's
and
really
it looks
interesting
great.
because I think I've been fucking hell. I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, and I keep forgetting because it's a really old game. But No Man's Sky has been updated enough now that it is that it has this kind of overarching story that you're kind of trying to rescue this dude, and you keep getting transmissions, and it makes you go from system
Name
to
is
system.
Sean Murray. He's been captured by people disappointed with.
too many death threats he's hiding out. But then also with the introduction of the base building stuff, there's all these other side quests that are like, oh, your scientist needs you to get this gauntlet because you need this thing, and there's also stories kind of wrapped around them that are very kind of shallow, but it has that structure of
Right.
like progression and structure and momentum.
Right.
And like you said, with this game, it's kind of Minecrafty as well. So
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think you'd really like Dragon Quest Builders, and it's got
Yeah.
a lot of like kind of very 90s JRPG-ish kind of charm to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. I sat down to just give it a quick little go and just absolutely gave the demo a really big workout.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it had been out for that long because I looked it up afterwards and I was like, oh, this has been out for like I thought that was. I thought it was a Switch exclusive or something for some reason.
Yeah,
but-
right.
And there's a second one coming out, I think, this year sometime.
Right.
That they're working on at the moment.
Yeah, and that's coming out on the Switch on the same day, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's
cool.
a good fit for the Switch.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think that's out on Feb 2 or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Don't know.
Early Feb sometime.
Good work, Docs.
So the next one they showed was Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, another remake of a Wii U and 3DS game,
Yeah.
just with everything in it.
After this got announced, a lot of people in our Facebook group started talking about how much they like Hyrule Warriors, and I had never really heard too many people talk about it in the past, and I
Yeah.
reckon I'll go in. It looks fun.
I won't. I remember there was like a real drought of games a couple of months ago, and so Dragon Quest Builders was one that I considered getting and really looked into, but was still kind of pricey, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors was another one that I looked at, and I watched a lot of gameplay footage. I was very close to getting it, but this Warriors template does not appeal to me at all.
Right.
Yeah, they're very divisive in that way.
Have you played any of them?
Like, sort of, and not really enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Is it pretty much just an arcadey thing where you're just taking on waves of enemies and just like fucking them up?
Kind
Pretty-
of, and
pretty much, I
There's
think,
just
yeah.
no real stakes to it other than like these really stupidly difficult missions as you get later on.
Right.
I mean, I really...
It's very mindless, sort of like you could play it and listen to a podcast probably pretty
Yeah.
happily. It's that sort of thing. It's closer to solitaire than
It feels
Right.
like you're really only... It's just dependent on how much you're into whatever franchise is attached to that one. Like the
Sure.
Fire Emblem one, I
Sure.
would never go in on because I don't care about those... Like, I don't know any of those characters. Whereas the Zelda one is like, oh, that's cool. You can play as Cartoon Link and you
Right.
can play as all these characters that I remember from over the series. So, but if I didn't have any connection to Zelda, I wouldn't be thinking about it for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But it looks like, I mean, again, this is like a game that's 3 years old or something
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
releasing, so it's kind of weird in that way.
I think you've just got to assume that we probably will end up getting pretty much everything from the Wii U. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a symptom of
Yeah,
you had
what's
this
like-
system that sold nothing, and then now you've got one that's is on track to outsell the Wii at this point. I think there was a story about that recently.
Oh, I think that happened that last year. I think it's the fastest selling video game console of all time in
Right.
America.
Yeah,
So-
yes, in America, I think you're right. I saw
Which
that
is
headline
fucking
too.
nutso.
Yeah.
So they've got an audience now that never played these games, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, and look, there's nothing wrong with doing a re-release of something, as long as it's not at the expense of new things.
Sure.
which they tend
Yeah.
not to be because it's a different team who
Yeah,
generally makes
yeah.
it.
It is weird that these are the ones that they're releasing first rather than your Super Mario Makers, your other games that are, I don't
Yeah.
know, like more popular.
Smash Brothers is the biggest
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of gap, but
Yeah.
maybe they're working on a new one for that.
And
Who knows?
yeah, that's what you gotta expect. They don't want to bastardize their own sales.
Well, speaking of bastards,
Oh.
Roger Federer stars in Mario Tennis Aces. I don't know if you know about that guy, but he's a real bastard.
He's like the nicest guy in sport.
Not if you.
I mean, are you saying technically he doesn't have a dad?
He
or
was
a bum?
incredibly cruel to me and mean when I broke into his house last summer. It's
I
a
know
new-
what you did.
A new Mario Tennis game. It's got a story again.
This is the game I gotta say I'm like most excited out of any recent announcement on any platform.
Me too.
Yeah.
I was so stoked when this got announced.
Yeah.
This is like, even just them going a Mario Tennis game, I was kind of like, well, yeah, makes sense. Get a tennis game on this thing.
Yeah.
But then going, yeah, story mode, like this kind of
Yeah.
like deep, well, hopefully deep single player experience combined with fun multiplayer element is like exactly the sort of stuff they should be making for the Switch. Like, it's
Absolutely.
absolutely the sort of thing I was hoping they would do.
Yeah, well, I've been ranting since the Switch launched about how there should be like a Switch Sports, and like
Out
this
in the
is.
street, just it should be a Switch Sports.
Yeah, I've
the
been on-
government keeps taking all my brain
I got a little
cells.
empty wooden box of soap. I turned it upside down. I climbed up on it, and I started ranting.
It's like Network. Instead of going, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, you're pushing up the window and go, there should be a fucking Switch Sports on this thing.
Why aren't I waving this Joy-Con like it's a tennis racket?
Yeah, and I mean, this is another one that I was saying before where the Mario Tennis games, the last couple of generations of consoles, they really have not put much love into. Like, they've kind of just become...
Was there one for the Wii? It was like a remake of the GameCube
yes.
one.
Yeah, and
yeah.
the Wii U one was apparently awful.
Right.
And
the Wii one, it was GameCube with motion control
Yes.
was the thing they'd added it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of tended, it's kind of a bit in the Mario Party basket of like, you assume that there'll be one and they don't review particularly well. They just kind
Yeah.
of get them out. And but this does look like a bit more care is going into it. Just even
Yeah.
the style of it, like the fact that they've got the characters wearing these sort of tennis outfits is
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
cool. Like it looks like it's a bit.
Yeah,
a
you
bit
wouldn't
more,
think to do that in a tennis game.
but they don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They don't.
Yeah, they literally don't.
So yeah, it looks great. I really can't wait to see more of that and see. I really hope they don't fuck it.
Yeah.
The Game Boy Color one was great.
Yeah.
I think you played that one and liked it as well, right? Back in the
Yeah,
day.
that was a
Right.
bit different to what this looks like. That one was
Yeah.
like you played as a little avatar.
You're a little human.
Right.
Yeah, and you're
right.
running around, and it's like people are talking about Mario as the great man, the great tennis champion that you're kind of
that's
building up to facing on. This looks like you just pick a character and play through.
Right. And I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, apart from 1-2 Switch, this could be the first real test of the motion control stuff. What have we
yeah,
played that's
I
I guess
Really?
really...
Arms is
I guess ARMS...
in a different sort of way.
They
Yeah.
didn't say anything about. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that at all. They didn't
Yeah.
say anything about that, and I would guess that for this way this controls, it won't be motion. I wouldn't think, because how did it
Yeah.
control on the
I would say it could be. You could use the stick and swipe it.
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure,
Right.
even on the Wii one, you didn't have to use motion control. I think you could just hit a button.
All right.
Maybe it'll
I'd
be-
only ever played Wii Sports, which you did have to just
Yeah.
use that as a...
But then
I think-
ARMS, you didn't have to use motion.
Yeah,
and you
that's
could.
true.
So,
I think maybe there'll just be some mode in it where it's like, hey, you can play multiplayer with swinging the Joy-Con around and then movement, because movement in Wii Tennis is automatic.
yes.
Yeah.
But in Mario Tennis on the Wii, it wasn't. I think
Yeah.
you moved and you had motion control.
I would, pure speculation, but yeah, I think it would be cool if there was like a multiplayer thing where it's like, as a throwback to Wii Tennis,
Yeah.
there's a mode where you just swing it around and it automatically controls.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to make
Yeah.
a motion to control this conversation in such a way that we move on to the next game.
Oh, okay.
He's done it. He's done it again.
I had another half an hour on Mario Tennis, to be honest. But yes.
Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. Or Dana. And it is
I think he's
pronounced
having a
Ys.
stroke.
It's a JRPG series. I don't know. They've never been. I don't know much about them.
I was watching this
Yeah.
going, I could not be more confused right now. And then the title came up, and I was like, I stand corrected.
The Romans are back.
I haven't heard anyone express an opinion about this either way. I don't
all
know
I know
anyone who
about
even
it-
knows what this is.
I know
Yeah.
that the translation was bad originally on like the PS4 version.
That's right. I did read that. Yeah,
And then
They
they
certainly
completely-
fucked up the title.
Yeah. they completely redid it.
that's right. Yeah,
I think I,
can see that.
saw a couple of positive reactions to this, but yeah,
Could be cool.
I no idea.
Yeah.
Anything that says 8 and you don't really know about, you go, well, fuck off then.
yeah,
This
yeah.
isn't for me.
What about the
But
Hateful
also-
Eight?
April 8?
The Hateful Eight.
Oh, I thought you just meant the date, April 8.
What about April 8?
I'd skip it every year.
Okay.
April 8, middle of comedy festival.
Yeah.
You've been doing
No,
a show on
Yeah.
April 8.
I've seen April's 1 through 7 though by that point, so I
Yeah, that's
understand
true.
April
Very
8.
Well,
True.
you might sleep through one. Who knows?
Uh,
Especially comedy festival time. Have good beers.
Yeah.
Have a
not
bit
for
of a
me.
hangover.
I mean,
Um,
8 also usually implies it's been good enough to have a series of 8 games.
Yeah, I guess there's not really that many bad things with 8 of them.
There
other
really
than the family that I know with 8 kids. I couldn't think of any
yes.
family with a lot of kids.
The Brady Bunch.
That's the fuckers. Those motherfuckers.
It's pretty rare in video games now, although, you don't really ever get many games where you need to have played all the numbered entrants.
Yeah.
Games are pretty. It's mostly like a bit of a reboot or a fresh characters.
Totally.
Having the goal to call things 8 doesn't really happen anymore. It usually goes 1, 2, 3, maybe 4
Yeah.
subtitles from then on.
Then-
Think the
yeah.
goal. You said goal.
It is extremely bold
Yeah.
to walk in there and go, number 8, everybody.
That would have been great in the Nintendo Direct if they're like, and next up, I can't believe I'm about to fucking say this, but there's an 8 in the title.
Yeah, no, they just call it The Fast and The Furious
Yeah.
instead.
Exactly. Or they call it free update for Super Mario Odyssey. I watched this direct. I have seen the trailer for this free update for Super Mario Odyssey.
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, now, I gotta say, when they say next up, DLC for Mario Odyssey, I mean, let me tell you, the Red Rocket was in full flight.
Yes.
But it's an online mode where you can get on
balloon
there.
fucks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you go and hide a balloon, and then other people in the world can kind of choose to challenge you,
No.
and they get a timer to go and find it.
Nah.
Nah.
No.
What do you mean? Are you accusing me of lying, or are you saying you're not into it? Both are fine, by the way.
It was just a knee-jerk reaction, and my brain won't let me dig any further in it. No, that's kind of disappointing. I've got zero
it's-
fucking
it's-
interest in it.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
I mean, cool. I guess to chuck something in there, but I mean, yeah. When the headline is DLC, it's like, oh, cool, and then it was just, it's
Yeah.
which hints at the fact that I guess, maybe we're not going to get any kind of content update
That
for
just
it.
sounds like such a boring thing to do in any game. Like,
Yes.
I've hidden it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
Like, even the game hide and seek in real life, if it was like, instead of finding your friends, it was finding where your friend had hidden a ball.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck about that?
in a random spot of like, oh, well, I know everywhere in this level because I've played
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no exploration.
It's just a countdown to when I find
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
an inevitability that I will eventually find it.
it. Like
Yeah.
death.
It really reeks of, I'll give it a go on the day just for the sake of curiosity, and then I can't see anyone. You just look at it, and it's like you can't see anyone majorly getting into this.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
there's no competitive element to
for
it.
the whole thing that's
Yeah.
meant to extend the lifespan of the game, it's like I just don't see the point.
Like if Pie in the Sky DLC Dream is like another kingdom,
Just a pie that hovers over every level.
this is like an
Right in
empty
this-
pie tin. Like there's nothing here
Yeah,
for
right.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how does SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy fix your wagon?
It don't, baby.
Nah, me
Yeah.
neither.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is someone's bag, but
Yeah.
Well-
it's from it's the female characters from
A bunch
of the games that are made by the same company.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I guess if you're into that, that's kind of a cool. People
But-
love that kind of crossover-y sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Then
sure.
With
Yeah.
reduced, like, it's one button. So it's
Wow.
like it's a simplified version of a fighting game. Too.
Right.
Oh, a fighting game.
Yeah.
Okay.
A fighting game for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Activate special moves with a single button and make use of special items to change a tide of battle. However, the fight isn't over the moment you've chipped enough health away. Once your opponent's on the ropes, utilize your dream finish technique to win the match. Spectate on other battles online, help with falling asleep.
Adam, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Did you write that yourself?
Yeah, I did. I wrote the
Wow.
copy for Essing.
Really from the heart.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I had no idea you felt this way. Touched.
It seems like sort of a weird kind of this was easy to make with
Yeah.
the engine they already had. So
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. And also a couple of announcements for and also you can get some of those fucking millions of Neo Geo games we've been
Yeah.
releasing.
Oh,
The
yeah.
third-party stuff that sneaks into these directs is always
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We got some more of that coming up. So there's a
Totally.
new update for Mario plus Rabbids.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey Kong.
the big man.
Yep.
That's cool.
It's there's some more stuff going to be in it too.
Yeah,
Other than-
like a whole story, like a whole new area, I think,
Right.
is what they said.
They've been a little bit vague about it. but
That's
it
what
seems like
Odyssey
that.
should have been. A whole new area and another character. That'd have
Yeah.
been great.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that every one of these games was getting a balloon finding fucking.
And also making it's Luigi's balloon
Yes.
mode.
Yes.
So again, they say, hey, DLC, and they show him, and it's like, oh, this is cool. You can play as Luigi. Maybe that'll change the game in some way. No, he just turns up for you to talk to, and
Yep.
then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a tease.
Payday 2.
Is this game good? Do people like this game?
I think people either.
I don't know.
I think people used to like it and then they did something to fuck it and now they hate it.
Right.
It's one of those sort of situations.
Was it like it's online co-op?
It's
right?
and competitive. It's like a heist thing. So
Right.
some of you cops and robbers.
Right. It's just
I
it's
don't
one of
know
those
huge.
ones like Ark Survival Evolved and
Yeah.
like these games. I even like Ghost Recon Wildlands, which apparently got a lot of fans from online co-op
Yeah.
multiplayer stuff that it's not on my radar.
If you can't hide a balloon in it and have your friend go look for it, then I am not interested.
The balloon's in the vault. You got to get in.
Imagine if your fucking friend came up to you just one day
Yes.
and said, I've hidden a balloon. See if you can find a balloon.
Slap him in the face.
Go, get out of here.
It's on the roof
Federer."
of that castle. Go find it.
I know.
Did you say Roger Federer?
I know I broke into your house once, but
Wow.
I wasn't hiding a fucking balloon. I was trying to steal your trophies and pretend they were mine.
Wow.
Fee or Fae? F-E.
Oh.
The one where you're the sort of... it's very neon-coloured
Yeah.
platformer.
I thought this looked interesting.
Yeah.
I think I must have zoned out during this one.
I don't really know what you do, but it's a platformer, 3D.
Had a really nice looking, visual style.
Yeah, but
Right.
Distinct.
It was just a sort of character moving around in a world.
Yeah.
So like, there's not
Not what I'm into.
Celeste though. I thought looked really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the little 2D one of the woman jumping around the mountain.
yes.
Little sprite based. Yeah.
Listen to this. Get a load of this.
Oh, he's got
more
another
poetry.
poem.
Features expressive, tight controls with layers of depth to master. 600 plus
Is this
levels
about me or Ben?
across a sprawling mountain with plenty
it's
of
about me then.
secrets.
Tough to master.
Yeah.
Plenty of secrets.
Plenty
to
of
discover.
secrets. Yes, definitely me then.
There's balloons everywhere.
Here we go. Now I'm weighing in.
Meet a peculiar cast of climbers. Never met a mountain climber or a real climbing enthusiast I describe as not being peculiar,
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
And traverse a personal, character-driven story.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It
Yeah.
looks cool. Very, very, indie platform looking thing.
Yep.
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, this is another one I'm actually
Yeah.
excited for. I never played this.
I mean, yeah, it's so funny. Like with remakes and ports and everything, it's just like I realize where you fall on it is just whether you've played the game or not. So
Yeah.
it's like Hyrule Warriors. It's like, oh, cool. I'll get a chance to play that. That'd be cool. And then this gets announced. And I'm like, no, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's only because I've played it, and I think I came close to the end, but. It's a really great game, so I'm actually more than happy to play it again. They've added Funky Kong to it, and his move set, I think, makes it slightly easier without it being a complete cakewalk.
It
Because
looked
is
like a complete
brutal.
cakewalk, though.
The game is
Yeah.
fucking brutal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The same with this is the second one of the Returns ones that they made, and they're really, really challenging platformers, and
Yeah, I think I played the one on the
difficulty
Wii.
depth, and, yeah,
It was very hard, yeah.
Yeah, really good game. Glad it's getting another shot.
Little known fact about Donkey Kong. Originally, he was going to be named Monkey Kong.
Yes.
Dark Souls Remastered is
Doki
coming.
Doki Panic. Doki Doki Panic.
Dark Souls Remastered is coming to the Switch on the 25th of May.
Yep.
Not a lot of detail about what is sort of.
Surely this is just Skyrim style. It's
Oh, but also it's coming to every.
That's the thing.
There was a remaster coming out on everything on
Yeah,
the
It's
same
right.
coming
date,
to
I think.
PS4, Xbox One, and the PC. So
Right.
the PC version of Dark Souls is still fine today.
Right.
So the fact that it's coming there suggests they're doing something a little bit above and beyond dish with
like
it.
wanting to make more money.
Possibly just that.
Yeah.
But this game is fucking great.
Right.
I'm interested in this. I've never played it. Is this going to be... Do you think this will be good now, or will this be another Skyrim where if you're going in with no previous attachment to it, it's pretty hard
It'll
to
be good
get
now.
on?
I only
You
first
reckon?
played it a couple of
Right.
years ago.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
There's some bits towards the end that are just kind of shitty.
Right.
But the fact that it's going to be... So it'll be running at 30 frames on this and then 60 on everything else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it'll be running smoothly. It ran fucking shittily on the old things.
Right.
Right.
So that'll be good. Portable.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
at all
And
times.
again, more good third-party stuff for the Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say that about Payday 2. Like, it's just good that more, serious third-party, bigger games are making their way over because it opens the door for that to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is
More and
like... It is still from 2011 though. Like...
Sure.
Yes.
There's Celeste and Fee, both of which are on other things. Updates for Mario and Rabbids and Super Mario Odyssey. So Mario Tennis Aces and Kirby are the only two things that are like new things that you could only play on a Switch.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, that's true.
Which-
but also, I
yeah.
think maybe that's why they couched this as a mini. I think they must have known that there's so much re-release talk that it's
Yeah.
like, if we hype this up as like being a big thing, people are going
Yeah.
to think we're going to announce Odyssey 2 or
Sure, there's
Virtual
no-
Console, so
there's no
we'll
tent
just-
pole.
It's-
Yeah.
You can warn someone that it's going to be mini as much as you like. They'll still be disappointed when they see it.
Hey, it's not the size of the direct; it's the motion in the motion.
Is this the blow
It's the motion control in the ocean.
But yeah, I think that's actually there's some good stuff in there. Like,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for something that just kind of dropped out of nowhere without, I'm glad that they did it in that way because if they had signaled it with 2 days' notice or whatever,
Yeah.
the hype machine would have gotten out of control.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mario Tennis is the big.
Yeah.
I did not. When they said mini, I didn't expect them to announce something that's. That's that kind of surprising. Even though Mario Tennis
Hopefully
game
it's
isn't
good.
that surprising. to
Everyone
play.
fucking hated the one on the Wii U, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, right?
And-
Yeah,
So-
the Wii U one was really bad.
I guess people, I guess since those earlier ones, which people loved, the Nintendo sports games are just kind of like shovelware for a lot
Totally.
of people. It's just like, well, there's going to be one, and it probably won't be that good.
I mean, this could end up being like, I've got a lot of friends who haven't had a Nintendo console in years and years and years who've gotten the Switch. I've got a lot of friends who don't even have game consoles at all who've got a Switch.
Yeah, right.
And the games that all of them have are Mario Kart and Odyssey and Zelda.
Yeah.
This could be the next big one on the Switch that like everyone has. It's
Yeah.
a no-brainer. Tennis game.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yep. It's a
So,
party
yeah.
game, and it's got a single player mode. That's
Yep.
totally.
Yeah. So a good direct.
Yeah, there are a couple of other sort of little things that happened news-wise over the week too. Well, there were some big things in the real world. If anyone listening is in Hawaii, fucking
Yeah.
holy
That-
shit, man!
That's
Yeah.
one of the most wild things I've ever heard.
It
about.
is
It's
insane.
insane.
I
Yeah.
hope everyone's like okay mentally there because that
Yeah.
would fuck me
Oh,
around.
Totally. Like, we're already living in another Cold War. If someone was like, hey, nukes are coming to Melbourne, you believe it. It's like,
I'd first of all be like, wrong. It's the most livable city. There's not a chance.
yes.
Yeah, not to get too deep, but yeah, I wonder given that they fucked it, like they sent it by
Yeah.
accident,
Yeah.
what is the obligation there in terms of going like, hey, we should cover some form of mental health plan
Yeah.
for all of you? Because I imagine, it would be those stories of people texting their loved ones, and I wonder, like, that's
38 minutes it took him.
right.
Yeah.
38 minutes it fucking took him. Like, if you knock the wrong button or whatever, they literally said they pushed the wrong button, which I'm assuming is just a
Shorthand
colloquial
for-
way of
yeah.
fucking-
Yeah.
But
I'd love to know, because all the stories that you hear, people going, I texted my mum and dad and I said I love you and I'll miss you, and what you don't hear is the people who went, time to fucking finally tell these cunts
Oh,
what
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do you reckon there was some pretty irreversible damage done?
Totally. 38 minutes, you could, like, you spend all the money on your credit. Like, you could just do...
Yeah.
what would you spend your money on? The fucking bombs are dropping. You're going, oh, I've got my credit limit.
You could
Buy
donate all,
video games, man.
you could donate all of it it to a charity. Like you could
Yeah,
go, I'm
that's-
dead in half
yeah.
an hour. I haven't had time to like write a will or anything.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
just
yeah.
get on PayPal and send it all to
The
wherever.
accounts I've seen, which
Yeah.
like this is sort of not, like obviously people being horrified and stressed and all of that, but mostly kind to each other.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
you know, I think that's what people are like.
I think
Well,
so.
there'll be a
I
lot of
don't-
kids
yeah.
in 9 months' time. I think
Maybe.
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of missile babies.
Yeah.
A lot of people go, I fucking wish that bomb had dropped. I tell you what, eh?
Baby.
I thought that'd be destructive to my life. Get a load of little Jason here.
Oh, Jason.
Jason's the doctor delivering his baby Clive.
Little Jason here.
Yeah, a
Um,
wild story. Why did you bring that up?
I just
You know
remembered.
that's not a video game.
No, I know. It's the furthest thing from. But
I guess getting that text message is kind of like it's the most kind of takes VR and like an iPhone game to the next level.
yeah.
doesn't
That's
it?
an-
Man,
It's text and now
talk
you're in
about
it.
talk about Black Mirror. Talk about your phones.
Yeah, you
Fucking
wouldn't
your
have
life
seen,
up.
yeah, if you just had been able to go 38 minutes without looking at the fucking thing,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have had the missile scare in the first place.
Oh, that is a Black Mirror. Your phone's like dead that day, and so you're walking around going, "Why is everyone freaking out?" Charlie Brooker, I've got a suggestion.
get Charlie Booker on the phone. No, he doesn't use it.
He's better than all of us.
So there's a big thing at the moment with PUBG and Chinese region players.
Right.
A lot of cheating is coming out of China. A lot of aimbots,
Wow.
that sort of stuff.
In this political climate, Knox, we just talked about nukes.
This
Are
is
you
the,
gonna?
this is the thing that gets weird about it. People are saying like, can you please region lock China, basically.
Wow.
Make
Right.
it so that they can't play on other foreign servers.
Right.
Because they're fucking it up for the rest
Which,
of us.
to be
Like,
fair, they already internally are blocked from so
Yeah.
much stuff anyway.
apparently 98% of cheating in this game comes out of China.
Wow. That's crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
I mean, there's a lot of them.
There's a
That's
lot
true.
of mining of
true.
the currency in that game too.
Yeah.
That takes place there, apparently. I don't know.
So- I mean, maybe you don't have the information I'm about to ask for. Maybe you're not the expert I think you are.
What's
but can
the
you
capital
point
of
to
China?
China on a map for me? Yeah.
What is China? No. Why? Why is it so prevalent there? Why is it all taking place in like China?
Well, so there's been like back in the first thing I know of it probably happened before this is Mod of Warcraft. There'd be big fucking farms of people farming out gold and selling those accounts
Right.
for actual money.
Right,
There's a
right.
financial incentive for people to. There's a lot of money laundering that happens through it apparently as well.
okay.
So some of it's to do with crime. Apparently, I don't know how much of it is that.
Yeah,
The
right.
other thing is, it's just one of those things where the culture, I guess, around video games is different there.
Right.
So it's like, fuck it, man. I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of players saying, "Hey, please do that." And they're refusing to do it.
Yeah,
the
right.
word that the guy, player unknown, I guess,
Yes.
used was xenophobic.
Sure.
But it's hard to call it that when it's like, no, the stats are literally all of the cheating is coming from this
Yeah.
place.
Also, is it an easy way for him to keep them playing because he's making money out of it?
I would be very surprised if it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Because there's other fixes for this. Like, because the thing is, like, okay, if you think that morally or whatever, but then also, but what if someone in China wants to play with their American friend?
Sure.
Cool. Let them invite them on a private thing. They can't just join them randomly. I don't
Right.
know.
Like I was saying, I am genuinely surprised that I didn't look into it when I was there, but everything else Western is blocked. I would have assumed that already went so far as video games. I'm surprised that you can't get on Facebook and Twitter and everything, but you can play video games online.
And launder money through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it is blocked and people are just maybe. Oh no, but they're calling
No.
for it to be
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
blocked.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
And if it was VPNs, it wouldn't be.
There
showing.
are games that are blocked there, or at least have different versions. Like Call of Duty is completely different there. It's
Right.
like this online thing.
That sounds radically
Like
different.
but like an internet cafe, I think, is the impression.
Oh,
I get,
yeah,
sort
sure,
of very
sure.
separate thing.
Right.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's an ongoing thing. There's a lot of fucking cheating in that game, just because there's a lot of fucking players as well, and because if there's 100 players in every match,
Yep.
you're gonna see the cheaters more often because. If there's 1 in 100 and you get to the top 2, you're going to see that one. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way that someone doesn't see.
Yeah, it makes more of an impact versus 4 different 16-player games or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would that add up to? It'd be more than 4 to get to 100. Whatever number of 16-player games you need to get to 100. Anyway, that's still going on.
Yeah.
What else has happened? That Cyberpunk 2077 game from the people who did The Witcher. Their Twitter account had said nothing for 4 years, and a few days ago it said beep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's some cool ass viral marketing,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. It's like a burning chibi robo. It's
Yeah, exactly.
Like a little,
Big Dev's fucking with you on Twitter.
It
Yeah.
does sort of bother me that though, like some social media marketing manager going, "I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write beep tomorrow, then in a month beep,
Yeah.
then in 2 weeks beep, then in 1 week beep, then the trailer bitch." And then they're like, "That language is not appropriate in the office."
You're right. It's kind of, we're sort of well beyond the thing of like having to really hype something up over cryptic things. It's like, it's just as cool and surprising if you just, with no fanfare, drop the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
that's more
This
impressive
isn't
now.
Cloverfield. We don't need an alternate reality game. Like, this is... Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley might get multiplayer soon. The creator teased that. That's about it.
Can you end every news corner with that, please?
There's not enough singing on the nightly news on the TV, don't you
Yes.
think?
Or on
Oh.
this podcast.
Yeah.
There was a new Total War game about the Three Kingdoms Chinese historical
A lot
thing
of
as well.
lot of cheating going on in that one.
Yeah, a lot of cheating in the War of Three Kingdoms.
Yes. Yes.
No, there was not.
Yeah,
I
cool.
don't know if
I
there
like-
was or not. It was years ago.
I think there was. There was. I'm willing to make a ruling on that.
I saw Darkest Hour as well. About Winston Churchill.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah, it looks like a dad movie.
Yep, I saw
Yeah.
it with my dad, Winston.
Well, no, we do know that you're English.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, Winston Churchill was English as well.
Yeah, he's my dad.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I just
Wait,
told
what?
you he's my dad, yeah.
I think I blacked out.
He fucked my mum on the beaches. He fucked her in the
Wow.
landing grounds.
We did a call out.
It's choking up over there.
I fondly remember that call out we did.
Yes.
What was it, a week or two ago, for listeners to submit what they played over the summer, what they caught up on.
Yeah.
And we got a few. We got a lot of results. Thank you to everyone who wrote in. A lot of people playing a lot of different stuff.
Yes.
So we'll go through a few of them now. Catch up on what people have been playing who listen to the show.
Totally.
Someone said they were playing a bunch of Total Warhammer 2 over the festive period, and they absolutely love it. The historical TW games never really grabbed me, but for whatever reason, the Warhammer versions absolutely did. I find myself doing the Civ thing of, okay, just one more turn, and then it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I still want to play the first one of that.
Yeah, totally. I was into Warhammer as well. So let the nerd bashing commence.
Yeah, you've talked about this. You're doing the little painting them and everything.
Yeah, baby.
Nice.
Yeah. I want to get back into it. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's just like a nice little relaxing thing to do
that
where you don't have
shit's
to think about it.
expensive, though.
It is extremely expensive.
Yeah, it's not worth it. You might as well buy a
Castle?
house.
You're absolutely going to be a model train set owner in the future.
Hell
Not
yeah.
a shadow of a doubt in my
Hell
mind about
yes.
that. Yeah.
But I also like the Total War games. So yeah, I haven't played the Warhammer ones.
Right. I thought one of you might have played it.
No.
Luke
Wrong.
Palmer.
You don't know us at all.
Okay, I apologise unreservedly. Luke Palmer, I got Thimbleweed Park on the Switch and finished it within 48 hours, which is not to say the game is too short, more that I played the shit out of it for 2 days
Yeah,
straight.
right.
I loved it, the art style and writing are both entirely reminiscent of the old point-and-click adventures I loved as a kid. Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, LucasArts games. Although Thimbleweed Park gets intriguingly meta in ways I don't want to get into for fear of spoilers.
Man, that's the trend in games at the moment. Like literally this month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say it's definitely designed for a mouse and keyboard, so the translation to the Switch and presumably any other console is a little clunky, but it's absolutely still playable and worth losing a couple of days playing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll probably go in on this at
Yeah,
some point.
I've eyed it off on the eShop, and there's not too many. It sort of always seems like we're around the corner from there being a big point-and-click kind of revival, and then one sort of comes out and it doesn't really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the gameplay style, or a different gameplay style, has been like glommed onto the storytelling kind of that they were doing.
Yes.
So games like Oxenfree and,
Yes.
and even walking simulators have kind of taken.
They kind of are.
That-
Yeah,
Night
you're
in
right.
the Woods. Is that one of them too?
I
wanna
don't
I always
think
like
I
the way
played
Night in
it.
the Woods looked.
Right.
Yeah. Sam and Max, one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Brett McDonald says, here's a hot take. I started playing Fortnite and it's a more player-friendly, engaging, polished and fun experience than PUBG. The fort building improves the endgame meta by drawing players to each other and jockeying for a good final position instead of lying prone in the grass for as long as possible. Aggressive pushes for loot zones are rewarded by the fact that there is a guarantee of loot, so you have more incentive to enter combat instead of avoiding it, you can also ride rockets. That a couple of people chimed in to say that they also are enjoying Fortnite Battle Royale more than PUBG.
Right.
Yeah.
I have played it. I played it a couple of days ago.
Right.
I don't think I like it, and I don't think I'd like PUBG.
Yeah, well, that Fortnite has always not appealed to me. I haven't played it, but I don't like the idea of having to build stuff under pressure.
I didn't build anything.
Right.
The best I finished was like 12th out of 100. I played like 4 or 5 rounds. By the time, I got 12th, I was like, all right, I don't really think I like this. I spent a lot of time running across a giant empty map.
Right.
And going, oh, there's a hut. I'm going to either open the door and shoot someone or open the door and hide in the hut. And then I did that like 5 times. I just don't think it's for me. Like I really like, or I have liked games like Battlefront 2, the Battlefield games that I used to play, because it was like run in, do some shit, get shot in the back, spawn again, go find that person, get them, find all these places to like the Fortnite Battle Royale to me was like that, except you get to play it once and you die once, and then you have to wait until you load a whole new game.
The thing with PUBG is like the tension of it that maybe Fortnite doesn't have. Like PUBG is more like a survival horror game or something like that.
Yeah.
Where there's these really powerful enemies everywhere, but they maybe don't know where you are, so you got to be quiet.
Oh no, that's exactly what the gameplay is. Like you'd find like a big house and you go all through the house getting all these weapons, and then you'd be on the top floor and you'd hear someone open the door on the bottom, and you'd crouch and try not to make any move while you're moving into the right position. They come in the door and it's this intense 5-second burst of violence, and then you either win or you get killed and you're out of the game. Like that is what the game is. Right. I think I just was impatient with when you die, you just have to wait until another game is put together.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. And it's but it's free though, isn't it?
It's totally free.
Yeah.
Totally free. It wasn't a big download either, so
that's cool.
It's definitely worth trying.
I should try that at some point.
Yeah. And the art style's cool. Like I liked the cartoonish art style because at least it was a style. I think PUBG kind of looks very basic and plain.
I think cartoons are for kids. So
fuck.
You ever seen Rick and Morty, man? You'd love it.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Rick and Morty is for very smart kids.
And I'm even smarter than that.
Knox is really committing to this. The look on his face, he's really gone deep.
I've gone smug
really,
as fuck.
It's really effective.
It's like that episode of South Park, something you wouldn't like, where they smell their own farts. It's that one. You
gotta shut your eyes to be smug. Oh, do you? Like I think I'm so much better that I don't even need to look at it.
I don't even need to see.
I know what's fucking in this room.
Yeah.
I can handle not having one of my senses. It's fine.
Yeah.
Plug my nose up. See if I can.
I completely agree about the visual style. I think it looks a lot more visually interesting than PUBG.
Yeah. I guess it's closer to Team Fortress, something like that. Where,
this one I thought was very interesting. Zach Hattrick. I got and played GoldenEye for the first time ever, and I haven't put it down in over a week. I really didn't expect to enjoy this game as much as I do. I figured it would have aged poorly, but once I adjusted to the different controls, it truly is an extremely fun first-person shooter, and I can't wait to get some friends over to play some multiplayer.
That's fascinating.
I would never have thought that someone could pick up GoldenEye for the first time in 2018 and play it.
Yeah.
If you treat it like it's not a first-person shooter the way you think of them now, it's a lot more fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? You treat it like more of just an arcade thing with a weird control system.
Yeah.
I remember being at a bar that had a console set up a few years ago, and it had GoldenEye on it. Me and my friends were like, oh, fuck yeah, GoldenEye. I haven't played this in years. And going like, oh, this is a shame.
So,
this is unplayable.
Here's my contentious contention.
Okay. A hot take?
Best Bond.
I rather say contentious contention. I can't get out of this smug guy now.
Why might that be?
The multiplayer of GoldenEye was never good. The single player was great. Multiplayer, not good.
Was it? Okay. I mean, that is a contentious contention.
Popular things that's ever existed.
Yeah, I know, and but that's the thing that people always play when they say, "Oh, you can't go back to it these days."
Yeah,
they play the multiplayer.
I mean, I never really played it when it came out.
Yeah. I was never a huge fan of Perfect Dark. I liked a bit more, but those multiplayer, you never really, or at least I never really felt like you had options once you were in. It's part of the thing that's wrong with Destiny 2's multiplayer.
Okay,
as in like the what do you call it, Crucible?
Yes.
Whoever shoots first and hits first is going to win.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's always what happens in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
You don't have any options to dodge out of the way of shit.
Yeah, right.
That's why stuff like Doom, which the multiplayer in that isn't very good, but is more interesting to me, and kind of PUBG too in a similar way.
Right.
Just because the distances involved are so great that often they're not accurate enough to hit you.
Yeah,
Right.
but you're saying it was never good. Like, surely for the time when those things that you're saying are better didn't exist,
Yeah.
it was good.
Oh, in the same way that people say ecstasy was better in the 90s, but it wasn't. It was the same ecstasy, but it was just
Was
better
it?
than staying home and watching Mad About You.
The same batch of someone just made fuckloads of ecstasy back in 1992,
yeah.
and we're still getting through it.
Yeah.
Still going.
Someone in 1992 going, hey, better to have it and not need it than need it and
It's
not
like
have
when you
it.
make pasta. I've never made the correct amount of pasta.
Still eating the same amount of pasta from the 90s, a big batch that you made. I'm going to have pasta after this, I reckon.
Me too.
yeah.
Oh, actually, I already did. I shouldn't have 2 dinners.
Nice.
Yeah.
Someone here saying, Jordan Corbo, I've almost clocked 500 hours on the latest Football Manager already, and it's only
Yeah.
been out for 2 months.
Yeah, fucking hell.
That's a game there's people that love that, but it gets no mention on here.
I mean, like, I don't understand it. I've been playing a bit of NBA Live 15, I think, is the one I have. And in all of those live kind of games, you have the option of doing the manager stuff, the training, the recruiting, substituting, all that kind of stuff. But I just always have that on automatic because I just want to play the actual game.
Yeah.
There are 1,440 hours in 2 months. So he's played for more than a third of that time.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations,
Jesus.
Well done, Jordan.
Well done,
Congratulations, Jordan.
You've now fucking football manage your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to play Life Manager. Fucking
that's-
hell.
It's
sick.
such a short message, too. I'd love to know what impact,
Yeah.
I suspect a great one, it's had on his personal life.
Yeah. Fuck.
Brandon Justin, they released the Jack and Daxter collection on PS4, and I adored the shit out of those games back on PS2 and thought I'd revisit them. I nearly got the Platinum Trophy on the Precursor Legacy without really trying.
Fuck.
Anyway, I really like that game in retrospect. It's a pretty middling 3D platformer that's worth playing through. Now that's a
What game
conflicting
was it? I missed the name
Jack-
of the
Jack
game.
and
The Jack and
Oh,
Daxter
right.
games.
Now that's a
Yeah.
conflicting sentence.
It certainly
it's,
is.
It's middling. It's worth playing.
Yeah. I guess he has a low bar.
Our time is limited. Like,
Yeah.
why am I going to bother spending precious hours on something that you, by your own admission, say is middling?
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Then I moved on to Jack 2, which used to be my favourite back in the day, but man, I'm just not enjoying it even through rose-tinted glasses, and I can't even really pinpoint what it is. It's not clicking for me yet, but the lights are nearly off for me on this one.
Wow.
We talked about those games a bit in our Bandcamp bonus
Yes.
episode about the Naughty Dog, the games of Naughty Dog. Yeah, I'd seen that and was kind of considering going in, but it sort of sounds like they haven't really done much to sort of update it.
Yeah.
Oh, they've done 0 for those
Right, okay,
remastered
right.
things.
Right.
Yeah, they're exactly the same as they were.
Right. I was thinking it might have been a bit of a Ratchet and Clank
It's
thing where
like
they've-
16 by 9 or whatever, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And then finally, this one came through. This absolute madman hasn't even bothered to attempt at answering our question.
Okay.
He's just thrown in a thing that he wants to talk about
Oh, great.
that has nothing to do with the summer reading criteria, but I
Yeah.
do think it's an interesting point.
All right.
Tyler Lamb, just a general discussion, but crafting in video games. I hate it and it makes me not want to play a game. Most recent one that comes to mind is Horizon. Always having to make arrows and traps and shit really takes you out of it, IMO.
Yeah.
Especially mid-fight. Like, she just crafts at the speed of light.
That's-
And
yeah.
you're always having to make sure you get supplies and stuff. Tomb Raider is bad about it too. Breath of the Wild was borderline with the cooking, but at the end of the day, you don't need to cook since you can use most ingredients raw for health restoration.
Yeah. Horizon is a particularly egregious example of it.
Ones where you have to enter a pause menu to do any of that kind of stuff. I find that to be so jarring when everything else is trying to be very immersive. To be just going into a menu and doing it there, I find it's such a weird thing that just immediately takes me out of it.
It's a fucking waste of time. Like, what is the actual point from like a design point of view? Like, conceptually, it's you've got limited resources, and to craft means that you're choosing what to spend them on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how it works in practice ever, though, because you don't have limited resources. You can walk around this boring fucking world
Yeah.
Yes.
and pick up a million sticks if you want.
Yeah.
Except
Except in certain games. The one that...
in Horizon specifically, I'm kind of thinking of.
Yeah, right. I mean, The Last of Us, I think, does it pretty well.
Yes.
It makes you do it in incredibly tense situations as
And
well.
The Last
Yeah.
of Us, you had to choose, will I sacrifice this option for this option?
Totally. Health or weapon. Yeah.
But-
like
and it
yeah.
feels like that. I mean, it does it really well, but then it feels like a lot of developers went, "Oh, let's do this all the time now.
Sure.
Like, and it's like, it doesn't mean that it should just automatically be in every game. It works so contextually for that game because it's a big part of what it's trying to do. And it now gets just chucked in as like, well, it's unrealistic to just have a proper gun lying on the ground. So we've got to make it so that you make it out of 2 nuts and a stick.
Yeah.
I fucking hated in Breath of the Wild when you had to get up enough rupees to buy something.
Right.
As well. Like, just that kind of blank resource gathering of... I've just got to walk around the world for X amount of time and I'll have it.
Yeah.
Is so dull.
But then I really like it in games like Far Cry 3 and 4 and the latest Assassin's Creed and Red Dead Redemption, I guess, maybe, or maybe not so much, but the ones where they introduce hunting and hunting animals and you have to get specific skins and resources to upgrade stuff like your storage and your weapons
I feel
and
like
stuff
in
like
Far
that.
Cry it happened pretty naturally though. Like, I don't remember really a moment where I'm like, I got to go out and hunt a fucking shark.
For me, it's got a lot.
Yeah.
For me, it's got a lot to do with the way it's presented as well. Like I said, just having to go into a pause menu is kind of just sort of a bit of a bummer way of doing it. Like Dragon Quest Builders, you craft things, but you have a little table that is in certain buildings that you go to.
Right.
And it all happens there. That's the only place you can make stuff. So you go there and then you choose from a menu of what to make. And there's a little animation and a couple of seconds later, like... It's for me, it's about the presentation. It's like, well, this is built into the world. This is all contextual, and it all kind of works in the context of what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah.
I just don't like those mechanics. Like, it's sort of the thing that I imagine Fortnite does that I don't know. It definitely, like the Call of Duty Zombies mode, has that thing where you're putting these boards on the fucking window. It's not really crafting, but anything where it's like you have to just be standing here for a time to make this thing happen, it fucking bores me to death.
But you also hate the base building in Fallout 4. Like, you didn't have any interest in that.
No.
I did. I really liked that. I liked going to one of those weird little towns, like the Red Rocket service station one.
At least
and
that was
building
all
stuff
aesthetic,
up.
though. Like, it wasn't really for anything.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. It was for itself.
Yeah.
Was
And
for
so
the-
that's fine.
Yeah.
Because that's a separate thing. When it's like you have to do this fucking pointless mechanic that is just a waste of your time.
Yeah,
There's
right.
no actual decision being made. Any sort of like mechanic
and
like that's not a decision being made other than I'm going to waste 20 minutes of my real life doing your bullshit busy work.
It's not part of the game. There's no skill. You could have just walked over and picked up that final item instead. Yeah.
Well, Tyler, in many ways, you've crafted a pretty interesting discussion on this podcast.
Which makes it a piece of shit because crafting is bad.
And we wasted 20 minutes of our time.
So, thank you to everyone who contributed to that thread. Sorry if we didn't read yours out. We just wanted to pick ones that we thought would inspire some kind of chat.
Yes.
A great list of stuff in there.
Yeah.
So now we had 2 games that
Before that, I have one more game.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. It's part of my summer reading. Titanfall 2.
All right.
I finished the single-player campaign. It did not reach the dizzying heights that I had been hyped up to expect.
The fact that it's a year on and not a surprise to you is probably part of that.
Yeah. It had some incredibly inventive moments though. Some of the levels, like there's probably 3 levels within a 8-level campaign that are incredible.
Great.
And the general movement stuff is really, really fun. It's the most fun that I've had moving around a first-person shooter in ever, maybe.
Right.
It's so cool. It's all this double jump, wall climb, running, movement stuff that's incredibly fluid. And also the shooting is really solid. And the Titan stuff's fun as well. I haven't played the multiplayer yet, but...
Cool.
really good single player mode.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get onto it now.
Storytelling wise, it's not this crazy awesome thing, but mechanically it's really fun.
Well, yeah,
It's
now
a
that
good like blockbuster action movie story is basically all it's
Yeah.
trying to be.
yeah.
now that someone who I respect has said they enjoy it, I'm gonna have to go in.
I don't know if you remember, but I said about a year ago you should probably play it.
I don't really remember that. Didn't really make an impact.
I haven't gone back to the multiplayer in quite a while, but I imagine it's sort of a fucking nightmare now because I'm great at it.
I mean, I went back and read some reviews from when it came out, and even then the multiplayer was not apparently anything groundbreaking, and some people didn't love it because it was a bit limited in its modes.
Right. I really liked it. It's because
someone who I respect really would have needed to tell me
the movement
a bit
and
about
stuff really contributes to having a good time in that game. I've got a very firm understanding of what makes video games good. So
No, I do regret not playing it. Yeah, back when you said it was. I just had too much to play.
It's
Yeah.
like $10 these days as well. So.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, we have two big games that we wanted to go pretty in depth with.
Yeah.
But-
I would
but
even
we-
say little games.
I would say little games.
They are little games, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we're going to
You
go...
fucked it, dickhead.
I really fucked it. The games, Doki Literature Club and What Remains of Edith Finch, we talked about them very briefly last week. We are now going to talk about them in depth in a very spoilery way. So
Yes.
that's why we're doing this at the very end. If you
Yep.
haven't played yet, if you don't want it to be spoiled for you, you can bail out now.
Yeah, if you're one of those
This-
people,
Yeah.
thanks for listening to this episode. And
This
we'll
is
see
the
you next
end
week.
of the podcast.
Yes,
And then we're
for
going
those
to do
people.
a sealed section.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in them porno mags that my granddad used to buy
Yeah.
for me.
Whoa.
I couldn't remember what time frame they existed in.
I guess dad time, not granddad time.
Tear that little side panel bit of it off because, yeah, full spoilers. Go play both of those games as
Yes.
well because
Yeah.
general consensus, I think, from all of them is that they're worth playing.
They're
Yeah.
worth playing. If you're a gamer, they're worth playing for the way that they deal with playing a game, basically.
Yeah, totally.
Doki Doki Literature Club is free, and you can just download it from their website. Is how I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or on Steam.
Or on
and
Steam.
You
that's
can get it on
the-
everything. Yeah, you can get like a Mac version that's like, what do
Yeah.
you call it? DRM free or what
There's a
is it?
PC
Yeah,
version
yeah.
and a Mac version, and What Remains of Edith Finch is about the length and price of a movie.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, if you're leaving us now, goodbye and grow up. Maybe be less of a coward in the future.
Good riddance. Don't listen to the next episode.
Yeah, we've got stuff on sale. Filthycasuals.com. We've got filthycasuals.com.au is where you can find our premium Bandcamp episodes. You can sign up to our Patreon if you would like to support the show through that. We have comedy festival shows on sale, which you can find. We should put the links on there, but they'll be on there.
They're
at
all
some
on
stage.
all our socials everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. And as we say right before the sealed section of every episode of Filthy Casuals,
See you in the sealed section.
I bet you're glad we're continuing so you can recover from
I
that.
love these random ones that he does
I
that he just
know.
plucks out
What
of
did
nowhere.
that mean? What did that mean?
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.
So here we are in the sealed section.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it feels the black lighting in here, or red lighting, the
yeah.
deep.
How many people you reckon we lost? I'd love to know specifically which people we're going to lose so that we can talk some shit about them.
Good
Yeah, that's a
question.
good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, this is, again, to reiterate, you should have played both Doki Doki Literature Club and What Remains of Edith Finch to be listening to this.
I hope that at
Yes.
least one person has come this far and still cracks the shits at us for spoiling.
Yeah.
I really hope that happens. And I
Yeah.
have to say it's a fair chance that it will.
Yep, definitely.
How do we want to start?
Well, let's pick one. Well, I guess, why don't we do What Remains of Edith Finch first? Because, Tommy, you've only played a bit of that. You didn't finish it.
I will say I haven't finished either of them
Yeah.
because earlier in the week, both of you were saying that we wouldn't talk about them this week. You specifically, Knox, said you weren't going to have time to play Doki Doki Literature
Yeah.
Club.
And then I did.
Then today you turn around and say, I finished it. So I was caught with my pants around my ankles
Oh,
having to
yes.
quickly catch up.
Yes.
So I haven't finished either of them, but I don't care if you spoil away.
yeah.
Let's start with, from what I've played so far, I think Doki is more interesting to talk about. So why don't we start with Edith Finch?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. That's the one I played first too. And I think it's the one that came out first. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
What Remains of Edith Finch came out in like around March last year, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
It's a walking sim.
but I guess everyone's played it. I was going to say what it is, but everyone's played it if they're listening to this.
Yeah,
if you
that's a
haven't,
good
you don't
point.
give a fuck about it. It's
Yeah.
a walking sim. The story is you are this woman named Edith Finch, Jr., but like by one generation removed. So
Yes.
her grandma was also Edith Finch.
Yeah.
You're going back to your family home.
Which
There's-
is like this kind of odd Tim Burton-esque
Yeah.
kind of mansion on the hill with all these extra bits on the top and like
stacked
a
on
tower.
top of each other.
Very precarious.
Little
yeah.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah, sure.
And then you walk around this house finding out backstories about all of your dead family members.
Who are all dead.
Yeah, specifically the stories of how they died.
Yes.
And they all died in bizarre.
Strange accidents
Yeah.
or just
And the way that these are presented are all kind of in different ways. So a lot of them you'll go and you'll find a diary that the person has left in their room, and then you kind of get transported to you playing through this character in their memory, kind of thing. So there's a young girl who eats a berry because she's been sent to
She
dinner.
clearly has some sort of disease. Like
she's like her parents have locked her in her bedroom.
she's sick with something that is making her feed.
right.
hungry.
Yeah, that's what's implied at least. Yeah.
She then eats this thing and she hallucinates, and you play through her hallucinating that she's a cat, and that she's an owl, and then that she's a monster.
Yeah.
Now I have to say, I was talking to someone about this today, and they were saying, oh yeah, she ate this bit of berry that like made her hallucinate, and then that's what killed her, it poisoned her.
Right.
I didn't know any of that because I just didn't go to the right bit of the room that tells you, because this person said, oh, it tells you in the game that this is a type of berry that does this. I didn't see that.
Neither did I.
Didn't get to that bit, and so
Yeah.
I kind of didn't really get any of that. I didn't walk away going, "Oh, that's sad. She poisoned herself." I didn't know what happened. I was like, "Oh, she just pretended all this stuff." The end.
Completely on the same
I
page.
didn't
Yeah.
think that either. I thought she had a fever from this sickness that was making her hungry.
Right.
I thought the whole thing was a fever, and I don't believe your friend.
Okay. All right. Well, let's call her.
Yeah. I that's why I didn't really twig to the fact that they were all dying.
Yeah.
I didn't even think she died. Like, I just thought that
right.
was a weird adventure,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, or a dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I picked up that she died from it. 'cause
I guess I don't know why I didn't, but I
at
didn't.
the end, like some fucking thing happened.
Right.
And also, when you're walking in, Edith is like, I didn't think I'd be back here again. Everybody died.
Yeah, I guess I missed that as well.
I really like the way all the text was
Yes.
in the world. Like
The
Yeah.
presentation is cool.
the whole thing as like a way of presenting the story it has, I think, is really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the presentation is great. Not to get ahead of where we are, but I fucking hate what the story has to say as a message.
Right.
Now, you mentioned this last week and offline, I think, to me as well.
Right.
We doubled down.
Yeah.
And let there be no mistaking my
would
thoughts.
not let me forget. What do you mean by that? Because I have some negative feelings about other aspects of what I think it's doing as a medium, but not so much as the message.
It's so nihilistic. There's no hope to it. There's no joy in it. There's nothing other than like all these people died in horrible ways, and isn't that fucked? You know what I mean?
Right.
It sort of starts hinting towards the back end of it that maybe it's going to be, hey, but keep on living.
Right.
But
or like maybe there's redemption for this character because of the way they've lived their life.
But so appreciate the moments that you had, But the only moments you fucking see are of these people dying. It's so morbidly focused on...
It's a little bit someone who's just seen, a 15-year-old who's just seen Fight Club for the first time and going, wow, the world's all dark.
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
cool.
we're all going to die. We're all going to end. So what's the point of living?
Yeah.
Seems to be what it was saying.
And
to
I guess all of the individual characters don't seem happy.
No.
It's not just that they've died in that
even the
story.
ones that do make it worse. That fucking one with the baby was really fucking hard to get through.
Right, the baby is it's an innocent baby and there's nothing that they're depressed about or have missed out on or failed at.
It was that to me, because there's this idea that there's a curse.
Right.
On the Finches, and it never really says if there's a curse or if there's a couple that are weirdly mystical, like when the tide goes out and she goes to the ship.
Yes.
And
some of the history of the family coming over from wherever, Norway or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Hinting at, and like the grandfather is called Odin, or so there are. Yeah, you're right. Hints at some kind of mystical, cursed past from the old country.
I didn't really, and I'm very early, and I've just done the comic book one, which I hated. I just
is
hated
that
the way that was
third
presented.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I've kind of haven't really been viewing it as like it's trying to say this big thing about death. I've sort of viewed it more like it's doing a little, almost Twilight Zone-y anthology. Like it's almost like a Paul Jennings or whatever. Just here's some little short stories, and you kind of control them. Like the kid, took me ages to work out the kid who swings right around on the swing.
Yeah, right.
Where you have to use to get you're controlling him in the swing,
each
and to
is a
get
leg.
momentum you have to use. It took me ages of just
Same.
going back and forth to work out. Oh, you've got to do both of these.
Yeah.
And that's I kind of don't know how I
That
feel
kid as well. Innocent kid, just dying.
Yeah.
I kind of don't know how I feel about that aspect of it when you're going from like you're walking around, and so you get very in the house, and so you get very used to that, and
Yep.
then you're thrown into being a cat where the controls all of a sudden feel really different.
Yeah.
I kind of found it wasn't very seamless, and it was a bit jarring. Like
Mm-hmm.
there were bits when you're the cat and you're kind of walking along the tree branches and stuff. It kind of took me ages to do because it's just such a change of how you move around.
Yeah,
that
same.
It was like, oh, am I meant to be able to go and do this, or is it all blocked
Well,
off?
and that is
Yeah.
the game. It's sort of like WarioWare or something, where the game is figuring out what you're meant to do
Yeah.
Right.
in these bits.
Which gets more. Well, it fluctuates. There are some that are more interesting than others. I'll
the
say that.
Totally, yeah.
fish chopping guy
Yeah.
was the best one.
Absolutely.
And that one, like, if it weren't for the fact that all of them were fucking depressing,
Yes.
that one would have been really impactful. But by
Yes.
that time, I had enough of the game shit. Where,
Yeah.
honestly, there was something about just the tone it took with. It didn't redeem the idea that like all these people died. It just fucking went, yeah, they're all dead, and oh no, because at the very end, that you're Edith Finch walking around. And you find out that all of the narration that you've been hearing of your own head is a
letter.
a letter or a book you've been writing for your son, your unborn son, who you're pregnant with while
Right.
you're walking around the house.
Right.
So she's dead too.
Yeah.
And so what you're playing through in the game is
Another-
another death sequence.
Yeah, another
Right,
of these
okay,
stories,
right.
which feels like that was the most cop-outy thing in the whole game to me.
It surprised me.
It didn't surprise me.
It's right. Like when she was pregnant, I guess if I'd have thought about it,
Yeah.
it could be. But
I think that was it. When she was pregnant, I was like, well, this is literally, it keeps showing me written text on the screen. Who is she narrating this to?
it opens with that person on the riverboat. With
Yes.
the son
Yeah.
on the riverboat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's interesting you said Tim Burton. Which one of you said Tim Burton? But that's really apt because it is a bit Tim Burton, and I do not like Tim Burton.
Yes.
So it's just that kind of evil, quirky kind of tone.
Yeah,
I've never liked
not
that.
quite enough style to this game. I like to make it a Tim Burton-y thing. Where
Yeah.
there
It
has
really
been a bit-
seems like it's forcing some of the sequences.
Sure.
Too. Like that comic book one the most.
Yeah.
It really
That
seems
was just dull to get through, and
Yeah.
all the rest of them, it's like the little girl hallucinating that she's like a shark rolling down a hill and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like and being the owl and that stuff. But then that was just like, you're just watching a fucking thing play, and then it's like, oh, a
Yeah.
panel, you can move her to the door. It's like, you kind of. I think it would have been a bit more neater if they'd sort of, like you said, WarioWare actually treated them like mini games. Like, find a way to tell the story where
Yes.
you are doing something video gamey within.
And I think that's what they were trying to do. But
Yeah.
I also think they kind of maybe only had 5 good ideas.
I've got to
Yeah.
say, between this and Doki Doki and Persona has big chunks of it, I'm a little fatigued on games where you're just clicking through these big chunks of text. And this
Yeah.
you are sort of moving around, but it is just sitting at the TV and watching a thing kind of play out instead of feeling
Yeah.
like, here's a challenge that I have to overcome.
Which is
here's
my-
a thing that I have to do. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of made me yearn to just really go back to some, like, you know, you put on Mario and it's like, oh, this is such a great antidote to this. Because
Right.
it's, you know.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all about these sort of games.
And
like,
I kind of do. That's kind of my issue with this game is like, this is just someone who makes games deciding to write 8 short stories and kind of cram them into a game.
Yeah.
Like I don't fully think that this is a like.
I'm totally
Yeah.
fine with that because it's just I'm okay with a game in quotes being just an interesting way of presenting a story.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
I think this
with-
is like because part of the house being something you physically move around in and look at.
Yeah.
it is impactful in a way that it wouldn't be necessarily if it was a film or whatever.
Yeah, but I
the
also
other
don't
thing
think
is-
it's impactful enough as a game.
Well, I suppose so because I walked away thinking that I didn't like the story it was telling, but for reasons
Yeah.
to do with the story rather than the presentation.
Right.
for me.
Yeah, it's like I kind of the ones I've played so far, I go, okay, would any of these stories be interesting at all if they were just written down? And no, they wouldn't. Like,
What
they're
about
all-
Firewatch?
would that be an interesting story written down? I think so.
I think
I
possibly.
think you could turn
yeah.
that into an interesting short
That could
story.
be a good
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Walden sort of fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's kind of where I land.
I think Edith Finch would have been better as a book, possibly.
Potentially.
But just I don't know if I've gotten across the way I felt about the story.
No, I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, it's just so.
There isn't a
It left me
point.
feeling unhappy, and not for any good reason. It was just because the story they were telling was grim, but not in an interesting way.
So if this was a collection of short stories, each one would have an intelligent twist or an emotional point.
Yes.
And none of these stories appear to have either of those things.
A couple of them do.
Which ones?
I
How?
don't know if it was an intelligent twist, but the thing of taking a baby's perspective as it dies and seeing that ruin the marriage was kind of like, I don't know, it was interesting out of these ones. I liked the storytelling thing of seeing the effects of something before you've seen the event.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because this house is now like a shrine to these dead people.
Okay.
That I like.
Which is like the overall thing and not each individual segment.
Yes, and so out of the stories, the fish chopping guy was a really interesting way of presenting that.
Hell, if that was a free download on
just a 2-minute long fucking thing about a guy with depression,
that would be good.
Yeah,
I would. That is a very inventive sequence.
Yeah, the fish chopping one, Tommy, is this dude, her brother
Lewis, I think.
Yeah, who. He's sort of like this kind of carefree kind of stoner guy. They really go heavy on the stoner stuff in his room as well.
There's a poster that says marijuana.
Yeah.
it's great.
To be fair, you have that same poster in your bedroom.
Hell yeah, my dude.
What Marawari? What me? What? Anyway.
Oh, goodness.
That'd be a good poster. Edith goes on about like, we used to play video games together and stuff.
Yeah, he's like a fun dude. He's kind of like didn't really like school, it sounds like.
Dropped
and then,
out in the end and got a job at a fish plant.
A fish cannery.
And so you're just sort of chopping fish heads, real life, and you're hearing the narration of his psychologist who sent a letter after
the view is his two hands. You're controlling the hands. You see a fish come in off a conveyor belt. You grab it with a hand, put it under like an automatic chopping machine, put it on the conveyor belt again, and you just keep doing
with
that.
the right stick, your right hand.
Yep.
Then your left stick, it goes into, and he kind of started to fantasize while he was at work. And it's this very basic little video game kind of thing that happened in his head that as the story goes on develops into this really elaborate world that he's created. And the graphics turn into this like beautiful palace that he's made.
It starts as a top-down maze, basically, then an isometric, kind of like a Diablo, moving through a little view. And it just gets more complex as it goes.
And he ends up killing himself.
Yeah, and that like literally takes over the whole screen.
Right.
But you're still grabbing a fish and putting it into the thing and throwing it away.
That's cool.
You're doing both at the same time. That sequence is cool.
Very cool.
And the baby thing like hit me a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's a baby dying. How can it not? It's kind of cheap.
Also,
Pass
the
the
stuff
test
with
knots.
the way the music
Yes.
started and stopped was good. I
It
thought.
was done effectively, and the thing of it being a game that puts you in the perspective of the baby, and it's starting off very innocent and becoming clear what's happening.
But you're still seeing it through the baby's naivety or naive worldview.
Yeah,
Worldview.
I've eyeballed
There are
you.
snowflakes.
Yeah,
That's my baby voice.
yeah.
It is the definition of fine to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it is it's technically okay.
Visually, it looks really good. Like the actual writing of the dialogue is quite good. Like, I think the parts are all good, and I don't have a problem necessarily with the like message of it just being a bunch of deaths in a row. For me, it's more the like, well, when I play games, I like to have a challenge and get satisfaction from beating those challenges and following a story through and feeling like, getting immersed in the world and liking these characters. So it's more along the lines of a Dear Esther where you just kind of, or a Everybody Went to the Rapture, where you're just kind of walking around hearing about stories that aren't necessarily always that interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Well, if you're up for challenge over story, what does that mean? You thought of Doki Doki Literature Club?
I'm also mixed. What do you think? Because you played it today, right?
I played it I finished it about, I don't know, several hours ago.
Yep. That's not a number.
We
talked last week about how at the very start it does say to you, don't
play this if you're a child or have mental health. Like it has.
And I according to you guys, I'm not far from the end. I'm fine
Yeah.
with you spoiling it because I very nearly had to bail a couple of times because I found it extremely overwhelming and difficult to play.
Yeah,
I
right.
did not.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I know that's the point, but it was. I found it very, very difficult to get through.
Yeah,
so,
right.
very quickly, this is interesting. Doki Doki means heart pounding, and it can either be used in the context of love or terror. in
Yeah,
Japan.
right.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The bit where I've forgotten all of the names of the people.
Again, there might be a
Yeah.
couple of people
I'll look it up.
listening who are just listening to spoilers and they're never going to play it.
Okay.
So what it's set up, it's like kind of a visual novel.
Yeah.
You've joined a literature club at your school, and there's your old childhood friend, and then there's 3 other girls in the
Yeah.
club, and you sort of get these choices about who you want to hang out with, and they're all kind of flirting with you in sort of different ways,
Yeah.
and they're all pretty distinct kind of archetypal
Yes.
personalities.
It's extremely this type of game. Like the
Right.
thing
Yeah.
that it's riffing on, the visual novel
Yeah.
dating sim thing.
Yep.
It is doing straight down the line of everyone's obsessed with you.
Yes.
Right.
You're the most amazing, incredible person in the
Yes.
world.
Yeah,
And
totally.
the first, oh man, it's pretty long. The first like hour and a half is
Just that.
nothing happens, and it is so it's hard to get through in the way that it's boring. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing is really happening.
After it gets repetitive at a point.
Yeah.
And that's where, like I was fine with it being this slow build up. I kind of was, as I was playing it, was cognizant of the fact that it's like making you care about these characters in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get it's hard to get through because the rug ends up getting pulled out from under you, and that's the reason to play it. And but what make you sort of need to know. You sort of need to not know that that's coming.
It would help.
But knowing that that's coming is kind of the only reason to keep going when it's very kind of dull
Exactly.
at the beginning. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
it's really hard. Yeah.
The way that the rug gets pulled out from, so you go through all these people like you. Sayori is your old childhood friend.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
Natsuki, who's the youngest one.
Yep.
Yuri with the purple hair, and the club president is Monica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the 4 girls. And so you either choose kind of Yuri or Natsuki to like
Flirt
woo
with
during
and-
this first half.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh well, you can woo your old childhood friend, right?
Sort of, but you get less opportunity to do that.
Right,
It
okay.
railroads you towards one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I'll do Yuri.
Yep.
And you have this thing where it's like very just, and then we hung out again, and we almost kissed, but not really, and we've
Yeah.
got to set up for the fate.
And you keep writing these poems where the
Yeah.
words you choose clearly are associated with one of the girls.
That are going to impress one of them more, and then you do these segments where each day you're back at the literature club and you read your poem
Yeah.
to people. But it's a real grind because you
Yeah.
go through and it's like,
It is a
who do you
grind.
want to choose to read your poem to now? And it's like the order doesn't seem to make any difference.
Yeah.
But you just have to sit
No.
through these conversations with people that are often
Yeah.
very banal. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
have manga and I keep it in a bookshelf.
there's
Like,
Yeah.
little tiny glimpses of it being a bit weird with the poems, especially, and with the words that the little stickers will respond to.
Yep.
When you're writing your poem,
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
if you click depression, then Sayori jumps.
Yeah, which I don't think is at that point any kind of foreshadowing.
Not of
it's
the
still
scope
very
of it, but
yeah.
it's.
But you learn pretty early. Because you learn pretty early, like the characters tell you what they're into.
Yeah.
And then you can pick. It's really easy to tell which of the words is going to make each character respond.
Yeah.
So I found myself deliberately going like, oh, well, I'm just going to pick the words that Yuri
Same.
Yep,
is
same,
like.
Yeah.
same. I think we all fell into the trap of the game designer in
Yeah.
this case.
Well,
yeah.
because it kind of just railroads you into it. It does a good job
Right.
of making you think that you're doing it, but
Yeah.
you have no fucking
Yeah.
clue.
yeah,
You've got
totally.
the choice of those two directions, but it makes no difference.
So
Right.
there's a point where one of the characters, their poem mentions saving a game and then being able to load your game.
Or afterwards, she says, like, here's my tip for the day.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then Sayuri ends up hanging herself.
This is the part of the game that I was like, you didn't earn that.
Yeah, right.
You, like, at that part of the game, I was like, nah, this is poorly written.
See, I disagree. I loved that part.
I thought it built up to it really well.
Yeah, if the game ended at
obvious
that
it was going to
part-
happen, and the stuff that had happened up to that point was so unnaturally written. Like the conflict of her being like, anything you say makes me hurt. Either way, whatever you choose, whether you say I love you or you'll be my friend, either way it leads to that.
So is that
Sure.
definitely the case? Because
Yes.
so that happens and it's done in this, and this is the stuff I found so hard. It then starts doing this. You then play through it. You start and it takes you back to the title screen and you play a
Yep.
new game.
Yep.
And it then starts doing all this very glitchy kind of like almost The Room style stuff. And I just find that too overwhelming. Like
Yeah.
I kind of couldn't handle it. But I was thinking, can you go back? Because she says that thing, hey, save your game and
No,
load it again.
if you try to load, it says file corrupted. That's what
Does
I
it
did.
really?
It says
Right.
file
Yeah.
corrupted and then starts you in a new game.
Well, I didn't
So,
even try
yeah.
because I just kind of kept going through and I was like, okay, well, it lets me just keep progressing. So I guess that's an option.
Yeah, but no,
I didn't know.
if you do straight away try and load it, you can't. It's
Right.
removed the
Okay,
save file.
I didn't know that.
The
Yeah.
point, it gets justified later, I think.
See, okay, so I found like the if the concept of this game was let's slowly draw you into this dumb, shallow dating sim where maybe you start to get attached to the characters because of the choices you make, and it does become repetitive, but it just kind of reinforces all of these choices you're making.
Yep.
And then you're kind of blindsided by the fact that maybe you were being a really like negligent dick to your best friend.
Yeah.
And you should have just been paying attention to them instead of flippantly and trivially taking part in this like dumb dating
But
game.
that's the thing I have a problem with is like it's a heavy topic, suicide, obviously. And we're going to talk about this for a minute because
Yeah.
it's in this fucking video game. But the idea of that story being about blaming someone around a suicide victim for having any contributing element to that suicide happening, I thought was fucked.
See, I still thought that was interesting. It doesn't like
But it
As
makes
in, that's an irresponsible message.
Yes,
Yeah,
I don't
Right.
think that that's
Yeah.
ever true.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's ever something to say to someone.
But
No, yeah. And especially, I mean, I get, well, I mean, that's why that warning would be there. But, if you had gone through that, like that happening to someone close to you and the blaming that you would do of yourself, if you did happen to see this thing that reinforces this idea in some way that you do contribute, you could argue that that's an extremely irresponsible thing to have out there in the world.
And just
Yeah.
poorly gotten to that point anyway. I don't think even if that was the point it was trying to make, it made it properly because like the way it ramped up to that was just it started to rush a bit towards
Right.
that happening because later on for reasons it justifies and that I think are way more because it.
So, go ahead and spoil it, but where I'm up to. So what happened? You start again, and it's basically you start the story again, but Sayuri just isn't in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then...
and
Well,
it
I
shows
wanna-
you a
I
little
wanna
bit
say-
of code saying character file
Yeah.
deleted.
Yeah.
So you're playing through it again, but all this weird sort of glitchy stuff will happen, and
she's flashing up on screen sometimes.
and then Yuri gets very drawn to you and gets more and more intense and ends up stabbing herself in front of you.
Right, which like that lead up, I think also is interesting because it posits like, well, if this one character wasn't there, and I don't think this is necessarily what it's doing or what you're meant to think. Maybe it is, I don't know, but it's kind of saying like if this character wasn't there, all of these interactions would have been so much more intense.
Yeah.
Partly-
The balance is gone, so you get spending more time with these characters, and it just
Well, and they're
ramps
all
up in a crazy way.
Starting to come out of it. So what happens? We should probably explain for you the rest.
Yeah,
of it.
sure. So I've
Yeah,
just gotten
yeah.
up to where
She stabs
herself, and then the book club, the literature club president sort of appears and starts going like, hey, I know this is a game, by the way. Like, I don't even know
Yeah.
anything about you, da-da-da.
Yeah. So she deletes all of the characters.
Yeah.
Deletes everything. Puts it with just you and her.
Yep, just sitting in a
there,
room.
like with space behind you, and she's like, "I've stopped time. I want to be in love with you. We're all programmed to be in love with you. I saw that you were paying attention to them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made Sayori kill herself. I made Yuri do it.
Yeah.
I cranked up her depression stat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, and so then she says all of that stuff. You kind of get stuck in. She does this bit where she goes like, "You have typed in your name," and goes, "Hey, Tommy," or is your name fucking something else? Like, and then says the name of your computer. So
Oh,
for me,
right.
that was just new, and so I was like, "What does that mean?"
I think my computer's called Benvenel.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
And then you have to delete her character file in the game folder and then that deletes her from the scene that you're in.
Right.
So
You have to go
literally,
into the
you
physical
open your
thing.
Finder on your Mac and you go to your Steam folder
Yeah.
and you delete the file.
And it doesn't
Right.
explicitly tell you that, but she mentions a fair few times.
Yes.
I have deleted their characters from the character folder. Wink, wink.
Yeah. And kind of says, like, even if you downloaded it from Steam, this is the folder where I would have found it there.
Yeah,
right.
So
Right.
it does spell it out for you.
Then she kind of dies. You play through it again with the other three all existing again.
Yeah.
But then she sort of comes back and has this last thing of, hey, this is fucked that we're living in this kind of servitude to you. None of us can be happy here.
Yeah.
You're the only thing that makes us happy, and we don't like that. Our world is awful. I'm going to delete everything. She sings a song to you. She's been saying she's been practicing piano, which was obviously leading to the credits being a song.
Yeah.
But then deletes everything and then literally deletes the game,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah.
The rest of it plays out in a way that I liked the point of fuck these games being like hero worship of the player kind of things.
Playing like other characters off against each other.
Yeah.
And just
It's-
because
it's-
you're this weird puppet master.
It's weird because as soon as you bring mental health into it, that's always going to be the thing that overrides everything else. And it's like, oh, this is a comment on suicide and depression. But from what you're saying, it sort of seems like it's kind of not. It's like a kind of a meta kind of takeoff of being within a game.
Of this genre specifically,
Yeah.
of
Yes.
like that sort of, what would you even call it? Not hero worship.
But
that's
like
not right.
it's almost like self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
totally
Sort of.
obsessive.
So
it's-
My master can do no wrong type
It's a
bullshit.
shame that it has
Yeah.
to do those things and do them so vividly. And I mean, I guess that's part of it has to have an impact. But
Yeah.
It felt justified to me by the end of that game.
Yeah.
The idea that you were the reason that all these characters were getting so fucked in the head and that this
Right.
one was kind of manipulated. It plays it out quite well as like
Right.
this rogue AI type story
Yeah.
rather than...
Oh, it also does this. Like it fucks with it with being a game in a lot of different ways. Where like there's a bit like after Yuri stabs herself in front of you, you get this garbled text comes up,
Right.
And it's like so much to skip.
It goes for days.
It goes for you have
Yeah.
to put it. You can make it auto scroll through the text, but it goes for. It just runs for maybe 3 minutes of
Yeah.
just going through reams and reams and reams of
it
garbled
literally
text.
cycles through a weekend like
Which
it goes
is you, so
red,
you haven't
black,
left the room
blue,
and you've just watched it happen.
and her
Yeah.
blood dries and shit. Like it's very, very graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just like I think it justifies the choices it makes with the mental health stuff it kind of does by the end of it. But just when it seemed just like blankly, this woman has killed herself over you, it was like that is over the top. And leaning into that sort of thing of the genre of you being so important, you the character that
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort of
I don't know.
overestimation of the man's importance.
There's something about that I thought was intelligent and worth being done. The thing of like, making you look at the choices you've made in that game to that point,
Yeah.
and making you re-examine them and regret them
Yeah.
was enough for me to be like, this is
Yeah.
an interesting piece of video game
Maybe
work.
I didn't feel like I had been making choices to the
Right,
same
yeah.
extent.
Right. I don't know. I guess, I kind of bought into what was happening. Like,
Sure, yeah.
It's a tough one too, where the mental health warning at the start of the game also just kind of ends up being a spoiler because the minute she starts going, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty fucked up," you go, "Well, she's gonna kill herself."
Yeah.
Like I kind of saw it
Yeah.
coming because
Yeah.
I was warned that it's like, "Hey, this is really full on." So
Yeah.
I know that has to be there, but it didn't. It doesn't have that same resonance when
Yeah.
you're braced for like, okay, well, something fucked is gonna happen.
Yeah. But I think just the fact that it made me feel panicked and like upset and wanting to make the right choice, in
Yeah,
that lead
yeah.
up was like, and it was horrifying. And then it was like stepping out and going like, wow, that's it really did have an effect on me. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
interesting piece of art. Like,
it is interesting.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what you know what I mean. Like you come away from it, it's like, okay, was that enjoyable?
Yeah.
Definitely. You think
It's
know,
interesting. It's
left
definitely
visual, like,
interesting,
think
yeah.
The
about,
stuff it does is like a deconstruction of that type of not only like that very specific genre, but the very rom-commy thing of this like Mr. Darcy type of guy who's like
Sure.
so fucking world-endingly lovable.
Yeah.
That these people that they choose the option of I'd rather fucking not exist. Than
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to be under this
Yep.
like what's his name, sword. Sword of Damocles
Yeah.
of being in love with you.
Sure, and it
The
also
thing-
like
like,
it's
yeah.
it's got stuff to do with the Mass Effect BioWare games of like pursuing different characters simply by making choices in a text tree.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't like the fact that it lent into the fourth wall breaking stuff, just because I think it's a bit easy. It certainly did some very interesting things with it.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it more when it was a comment on the emotionality of those kind of games and how shallow they seem, but how if you put that into a real world scenario, it'd be actually kind of fucked. But as a game, as a piece of art, I think it's really good. I'm really glad that it exists.
Yeah,
I think it's a
really
really
interesting.
smart
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Can't beat the price of free either.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
We can. They could give you money.
That's true.
That you've beaten it. Yeah. We've already technically signed off. This
That's
is
true.
overtime.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can just end this.